You're gonna love this special dependency injection. I want to start with the real world example first. Say suppose you live in a big apartment. There may be 100 families living in this apartment. Now, what do you feel the most important concern for this apartment? What do you think? I think the security. So that you can keep track of who is entering and who is leaving the apartment and even make it safe. Let's understand this with this HTML file. So say I have a function apartment and apartment needs a security, right? So you decided to hire a security person. Now I can say we need an object, say security person. So I'm gonna create a new function, say security person. You can notice the function name starts with a capital letter. This is called a constructor function in JavaScript. You can treat any function as a constructor function in JavaScript, but keeping first letter in caps help us in differentiate it from normal function. Okay, so now I can use this constructor function to create an object. We need a security of our apartment, so we need security person object. And I can create the same using new keyword. Now what this security person is gonna do? To keep our apartment safe, right? So we need a function, say take care. And I'm gonna log something here inside this function. Now I can call this function which says the security person is taking care of our apartment. Run the application, open the console. Cool, here is the output. So our apartment is secure now. But can you see the big problem here? What if our security person do not come on the job? Say suppose he gets some emergency. What's gonna happen to our apartment? Like say we don't have security person today, so we will not have this object here, right? And if I go and refresh my application now, we get an error. As we don't have the security person, it's quite obvious how we are gonna secure our apartment. So I can say this apartment function is dependent on this security person object. If this object doesn't exist, our apartment will be in trouble. We can think of other solutions like hiring 2 different persons, but that's gonna increase the budget, right? So we need some other solution. Can you think of one solution here? This is a real world example, so I bet you have the solution. The problem here is our apartment function is creating this security person object. Wouldn't it be good if we get this security person object from outside? Maybe as an argument to this function? And we don't care who creates it. So we don't need the creation code as well. We just need this object so that we can make our apartment secure, right? So we can think of outsourcing our security job to the third-party vendor. And they take care of creating and sending the security person to us. Sounds good? We call this dependency injection. So let's see what Google has to say about dependency injection. Type dependency injection on google.com. Okay, so in software engineering, dependency injection is a software design pattern that implements inversion of control for software libraries, where the caller delegates to an external framework the control flow of discovering and importing a service or software module. A bit complicated to understand, right? But our example has all the answers for it. Let me explain. We know it's software design pattern, means solution to the common problem, like our apartment security problem, where we delegate the creation of our dependencies. Like we have a dependency on security person and we are delegating creation of that security person object to some external system, like we thought of an external vendor. Dependency injection is also called inversion of control. Now before concluding this lecture, I would like to explain dependency injection with an example we get in our day-to-day coding. So I'm going to open the account.html file from our exercise files. And this looks similar, right? Our old account module we have created in previous lectures. You can see I did some changes to this. I have moved the message sending functionality out from my account module to separate object called messaging. But we have the same problem here. Our account module is dependent on the messaging object. As you can see, we are creating it here. We did a good job of moving messaging functionality out of this module. But what if this messaging functionality depends on some environment? Maybe we need to send email if mobile messaging is not available. Or maybe we need to keep messages on server to send it later. So this object may differ based on application environment. In such a case, it's always good idea to keep the creation of this object out of the module. And we should not be worried about object creation. And we will be sure to get some object in case of application environment failure. So if we get this messaging object as argument, we don't care about the responsibility of creating it. And looking at this function in collapsed mode gives us the feeling of clean code. Just look at it. Now we can say my account module is dependent on message. But this time I'm sure I'll get it from someone else.